So years ago, I was at a conference and got done speaking and met up with some people who were pretty cool, and they ended up becoming clients for quite some time. And we were talking over drinks the first evening, and they were talking about, how thoughtful they were about their product and how excited they were to solve certain problems, and they were, very directed about user experience, about building quality in up front, all the things that like were music to my ears. And then they said, well, we've had some struggles with culture, but it's going to be okay because we've adopted the Spotify model. And so I asked them, I said, well, what problems were you trying to solve when you adopted the Spotify model? And they said, well, we know that you've worked with Spotify, so you know how they work. And it's like, yes. What problems were you trying to solve with instantiating, with making your own version of Spotify? And they said, well, Spotify's cool. They didn't say it in those words exactly. They gave me a whole bunch of half sentences, but in essence, what they were saying was Spotify's cool, and we'd like to be like Spotify. But they didn't make an online music streaming system. They didn't do anything even remotely close to what Spotify does. Spotify is awesome. Spotify is awesome not because of guilds and not because of squads and not because of anything else except one thing, and that's that Spotify is constantly asking itself, how can it be a better Spotify? And they're not always successful, nobody is, but they're not successful because of the structure. Jimdo is not successful because of their structure. King isn't successful because of their structure. Riot isn't successful because of their structure. Awesome companies are successful because they're always questioning their own structure. And if you try and mimic what they do, you're going to build this kind of weird, soulless shell of what they did at one point, but you're not going to actually follow what they do, which is think really hard about how they work together, right? So if you go off and you see, Cliff or anybody else from Spotify give an awesome presentation about Spotify, they're telling you the truth. Spotify is really cool, but you can't do what Spotify did. You can't do what the Black Book tells you to do. You can't do what other people have done, except one thing, that one central tenet of Agile, which is inspect and adapt. Always be asking yourself, how is what we're doing awesome? And how is what we're doing not so awesome? I guess that's two things. And the third thing might be, how can we do these things better? Becoming a Spotify or becoming a Riot doesn't happen because you've done a thing. It's because you're vigilant about being agile. And this is true on the lean side too. So, Agile gave way to Scrum, which kind of codified and limited what we thought of as Agile. Well, in lean spawned Six Sigma, willingly or not. And Six Sigma, it became, basically the Scrum of lean, where you're certified in it. You get blue and green and purple and magenta and black belts and whatnot. And that gives you some sort of pat on the head for being something, but whatever that something is it's generally not thoughtful about the way that business works. So what we want is for Agile not to be mimicry. We want Agile to be something that you do from the heart. We want something that your team is actively looking at. It's something that every time you have a retrospective, every time you have a stand-up meeting, you're asking, how is our board telling us the truth? How is our board lying to us? How are our metrics lying to us? How are we not getting the information we need to do the best job possible? And then relentlessly searching for ways to do that. Now, over these videos, I'll probably talk about a lot of companies that have a lot of very interesting business models. All of those business models were the result of a group of people thinking hard about the problems they needed to solve to do good work, right? So Agile is not Mimicry. Agile is only Scrum Butt. If you're not doing Scrum Butt, you're doing Scrum wrong. That is my Agile heretic position for that. So Agile is not Mimicry. Agile is doing your own thing, figuring out what you need and relentlessly working to make sure that it's always the best.